Business this evening is another public hearing, this one on the property at 3939 Niagara Falls Boulevard, best known by most of us as the Track. Mr. Clifford is here this evening, it's Martin Clifford if I remember right, is here this evening representing the Track. He has asked for a rezoning of that. The interesting part about the Track is everybody on the planning board, everybody on the town board thought that was done back in whenever, 1994, 1992, whatever year the Track was originally built. But looking through the paperwork, we found that that wasn't the case, that there are small portions, very small portions, but small portions are, I think it's some is R1, and what's the other one?
We have R2 and R3.
R2 and R3. So residential for small portions of the Track property. So what we would be considering is redoing the entire property to a commercial zone. Most of it's commercial now, but not all of it. So that's what we're looking at here. That being said, Mr. Clifford, is there anything you would like to add to the conversation?
No, the parcel is indicated. The parcel, we were told the first instance 20 years ago, the parcel was owned. In fact, when you take a look at the map today of the parcel on the zoning map, it's in four different classes. It's R2, R3, M1, and C1. And this is really just corrective action.
That's right.
The business has been there for 20 years, and it simply wants to get into a position where it fits.
Yeah, even the planning board member who was on the board.
It's an unusual application. It's a corrective action more than anything.
Yeah, even the planning board member who was on the board back when the Track was it was called something different then. It was even before it was called Adventure Speedway.
Right.
He was surprised that it had not been changed.
Right.
So this is a corrective action.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Clifford?
Let me just add that this has been before the town planning board, and they recommended approval of the rezoning, as well as this was referred to the county planning board, and they've also recommended in favor of the rezoning.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Are there any plans to expand that track? Is that what this is for?
None that I'm aware of.
I live across the street.
Yeah.
And that really seems what's going on there anyway. That also is Crescent Drive. It's not only the boulevard that track. It's also on Crescent. That's probably why
That's true.
it's zoned that way, because it's on Crescent.
That may or may not be the case. It's kind of difficult. It's difficult to figure out going through the town file and not having all the personnel around over here perhaps 20 years. But what I can tell you is that there's no plans to expand the track. This is simply corrective action. It's like you're buying your house, you're finding out that you bought a property that's technically zoned for hazardous waste dump. I think you probably take corrective action if you could. And you got rezoned R1 and 2 what you thought it would be.
Mr. Clifford, isn't a portion of your land used as a secondary access for Canterbury?
I don't know.
Isn't that road that runs around the right hand?
When I take a look at an aerial photo, I see some sort of improved path
Right.
from that property.
Jerry would know. It's their fire company.
It's a fire road for Canterbury. And so our fire trucks can get through there. The reason it's there is also a chain.
Yeah.
That accessibility with fire.
Do you know if that area, that's part of the property we're talking about? Where that, I think it's got to be, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When I take a look at the aerial and overlay it against the survey, I see the footpath going from the rear of our property, or the client's property, to the facility. I didn't know what the facility that was used for. And I don't think, well, it's technically blocked by a GPS, the footpath located on our property. Why the footpath exists from Canterbury to the back of our property, I couldn't tell you.
I think it's more than a footpath. I think it's actually.
Because it's a fire, we've been a fire.
Yeah.
I've got no reason to not believe it.
if I'm not mistaken, that's actually plowed in the wintertime, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, it's so.
Doesn't do much good if it's not plowed.
There's a problem in Canterbury, there's a fire or something, that we can get back there, that's why that road was put there.
But whether that's commercial,
Built Canterbury the way they built it.
if there's an easement in place, or whatever the determination was, being commercial versus being R3 wouldn't make any difference at that point. I don't think. Okay, anybody else? Good question, Jerry. Anybody else on this specific question? Again, this is a situation where this could be the last step prior to proceeding. So if anybody has any comments, this is the time to speak up. I know that Mr. and Mrs. Treichler are here this evening. They live in the house right next door on Crescent, so they are also right there as well. Yeah. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and close this meeting a little early.